Vincent Carroll speaking. Today I was outside the Medical Council head offices, and the reason why I was there with a number of other people who have been badly affected by bad decision making by the Medical Council, is to shine a light on the Medical Council and to call for accountability, to call for the Medical Council to be investigated into, and to call for the Medical Council to be disbanded. And indeed, if it is shown that there has been malpractice by the Medical Council, that there has been self-interest or vested interest, and for that to have interfered with decision making and for that to have cost lives, then I'm calling for individual members of the Medical Council and the board of the Medical Council to be prosecuted if that is shown to be true. But let us be clear about this. The Medical Council was set up under the 1978 Medical Practitioners Act. The Medical Council was set up to police the medical profession, and there is a need for that. And the Medical Practitioners Act 1978 is a good act if it is followed as it is intended, if the ethics of that act are followed to the letter of the law. But that has not been happening. The Medical Council has been slow in investigating complaints against specific doctors. It has been slow in showing transparency in why particular decisions have been made. But yet, when it comes to all things COVID, the Medical Council has been incredibly fast in chasing after doctors who've spoken outside of the official narrative. Let's be clear about this. Medicine is based upon investigation, upon debate, upon observation, upon scientific articles, upon peer-reviewed journal articles, and all of these contribute into the forming of a consensus. And not everybody will be part of that consensus, and those that are not part of that consensus, their opinion is valued, but not necessarily adhered to. And the consensus prevails, and that consensus is based upon doctors debating. There has been no debate regarding COVID. There has been no debate regarding treatments for COVID. There have been no debate about what are described as the vaccines. There has been only one narrative only, the official government narrative that has been approved by the Medical Council, and no other narrative has been permitted. Doctors who have spoken outside of that narrative have been threatened with loss of livelihood, because the Medical Council can do so under the 1978 Medical Practitioners Act. The Medical Council has the power to remove your license if you are viewed as a danger to the general public. And those doctors who have spoken out against the official government narrative have been viewed as a danger against the general public, which is nonsense, because the peer-reviewed journal articles, the thing upon what medical science is based, have demonstrated a range of views, a range of opinion, a range of points of view. But that range of point of view has never entered into the medical debate, the medical narrative within Ireland, because anybody who speaks outside of the official government narrative runs the risk of loss of livelihood. And no doctor is going to do that, or very few will. Let me give you an example. Take the disaster that occurred in nursing homes when people who were COVID positive were discharged into nursing homes, the most vulnerable section of society. And a number of doctors, very few doctors, tried to call halt. A few honourable doctors said, this is wrong. This is a recipe for disaster in nursing homes, where a vulnerable population are being exposed to a virus which, if you or I get it, may not prove in any way more than a mild cold. But if somebody at the other end of their lives, if somebody perhaps with chronic terminal conditions gets the COVID virus, yes, of course it's going to pose specific risks and dangers to that person. And yet people were discharged into nursing homes without testing. No doctors, with a few honourable exceptions, called a halt, because if you did, you ran foul, or ran the risk of running foul of the Medical Council, and that could ultimately lead to being investigated and to the loss of your livelihood. And again, when other valid treatments were discovered to have worked, such as ivermectin, such as hydroxychloroquine, with other directorates of public health medicine in other countries freely and successfully used those remedies. In Ireland, we didn't. If any doctor suggested that they be used, you again ran the risk of investigation and ran the risk of loss of livelihood. Despite the peer-reviewed journals giving a range of views, I must ask, why is this? Why is there such uniformity when there's not uniformity within the academic community? Why is only one way forward permitted, to the total exclusion of every other form of treatment. The Medical Council is on a particular agenda, and that particular agenda is a government agenda. Now just remember that every member of the Medical Council, and there are 23 members on the board of the Medical Council, 12 lay members and 11 doctors, every one of them are appointed by the Minister of Health. Every one of them can be removed by the Minister of Health. They are political appointees. Don't tell me otherwise. These are political appointees who are beholden to their political masters, the man who appoints them and the man who can remove them, the Minister of Health. So as far as I can make out, these are enforcers of government policy rather than protectors of the general public, as they are obliged to do and be under the Medical Practitioners Act 1978. Let me conclude by saying I demand that the Medical Council be disbanded. I demand that it be inquired into. I demand that it be investigated. And if it is shown that vested interest has stood in the way of correct patient care by the denial of valid remedies such as ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, remedies freely available and freely prescribed in other jurisdictions under other directors of public health medicine, then the individual members of the Medical Council responsible for those decisions must be individually investigated and individually prosecuted if crime has seemed to be committed. Thank you.